Humans have been suffering from malaria for thousands of years. Our earliest records of it come from Chinese medical texts from the year 2700 BC. That's almost 5,000 years. But it's been killing us and making us sick for thousands and thousands and thousands of years before that. It's one of the oldest human pathogens. In the year 1880, a French army surgeon isolated the malaria parasite. He found it in the blood of an infected person, and this was an astounding discovery. But it wasn't until 17 years after that discovery, in 1897, relatively recent history, that we finally understood malaria was carried by mosquitoes, little blood-sucking beasts. We spent the first half of the 20th century thinking up new and interesting ways to kill mosquitoes and to treat the disease, leading up to the elimination of malaria from the United States in the early 1950s and the elimination of malaria from southern Europe. We severely beat it back in South and Southeast Asia and in other parts across the globe.
This is the story of an outcast, now a hunted wanderer over the face of the globe. She lived life to the full, and in her wake, she left a trail of broken men. Now a fugitive, battered and beaten, she spends her numbered days in a miserable hideout. You all know her name, Anopheles Annie, the malaria mosquito.
But then we stopped. We switched to a strategy of observation and management instead of elimination. It was just too expensive. And since then, malaria rates have continued to rise. It's only in the last 2 decades or so that funding has returned, public awareness has come back, and that we are really chugging forward with fighting the disease on all fronts, with nets, with new science, really cutting-edge science too, like these two guys who are measuring mosquito feces. And so we keep coming closer and closer to finally getting rid of this disease that's been with us since before recorded history. But there's still a lot more work to do, and constant vigilance is required in order to keep the tide of malaria from returning. This has been your malaria history lesson with Dr. Tim Brauhn. Not a real doctor.